holding this webinar in order to go through some of the requirements, answer some questions, and basically help get folks prepared to apply to this program starting this Wednesday, December 18th at 6 p.m. when it opens for the first time. A few housekeeping items. So we will be utilizing the Q&A function in Zoom to collect questions that we will answer later in the webinar. Please enter your questions there. We will be looking forward to responding to them, some of which we'll probably be able to do during the webinar, and some of which we'll answer live when we finish with the presentation. Please don't put any questions in the chat box. If you are having trouble with the Zoom platform, please put those types of questions in the chat box and direct them to the host and panelists. I know that we have a request to turn on captions. I believe we activated that feature in Zoom. I think one of my colleagues can make sure that we have that active. Since I am screen sharing, it is a little challenging for me, but I believe that should be active at this point. So we are recording this webinar, so we will be posting the recording on our website and sharing it with anyone who is attending and who registered as well via email. That will also have the transcription enabled. So that will be available after this. We know that not everyone who registered will be able to get in. So that will be there available for folks. Today on the webinar, we have a number of staff from CalBike here to help answer questions via the question and answer box. We also have representatives from Pedal Ahead, who are the program administrator for the e-bike incentive project, who can help as well. And why don't we go ahead and get started? So why are we here today? CalBike, as we shorten our name to, we helped pass the legislation to get program funding allocated for the e-bike incentive project. And we were very excited to see that it's launching this year with the first round of vouchers available next week. We have been helping keep folks updated on the process since basically the law was enacted and sharing all the information we have. Again, like I said, we're not the program administrator. We aren't actually reviewing any of the applications. We're really just here to help and share information. For any questions about your specific eligibility or about the administration of the program, so we're going to be answering a lot of questions today. We probably won't be able to get into individual specific criteria, but we will do our best. And just generally, if you go to the ebikeincentives.org website, which I have open here today, if you go down to the bottom, there is contact information. I know that they are receiving quite a bit of email and phone calls, so it may take a little bit to get any answers, but hopefully we'll be answering any questions you have. So most of the information we're going to go over is going to be on this website, ebikeincentives.org. That is the project website. We will also be sharing a brief video on the application process that Pedal Ahead has put together. And that video will also be available on this website shortly. So if you want to rewatch it, you'll be able to do so soon. So just getting started, the basics for the e-bike incentive project. I'm just going to go through them, continue to think of your questions, and we'll get to the Q&A in a little bit. So the e-bike incentive project provides up to $2,000 for a point of sale incentive to support the purchase of a new e-bike. It's funded by the California Air Resources Board and administered by Pedal Ahead. And basically the idea is that they would like to get e-bikes in the hands of income eligible Californians so that they have a transportation option that is climate neutral and helps folks get from here to there. At CalBike, we're very excited about more people getting on bikes. Bicycling is a great way to get around for your day-to-day transportation needs. also a great way to stay active. So we're very excited to be partnering with this program. So let's get into some of the specifics about how you can tell if you're eligible for the program. This is one of the biggest questions we see. And so I'm going to walk through what the eligibility requirements are and how you prove that you're eligible. So to be eligible for the program, you need to be a California resident and you need to be 18 years of age or older. I will go over some of the documentation required in a moment. So the next step is you need to have a qualifying household income of 300% or less of the federal poverty level. We'll talk about what that means in a minute. And that's your gross annual household income. So that it's a different line if you're using your taxes from last year to look and see your eligibility. It's a different line based on which form you filed, but it is the gross amount, not the amount later that's adjusted. So it's that first number. You must complete the online application. We'll go over that in a moment as well. You will submit some documentation through that application, and then that application will actually be reviewed by a real person. So it may take some time for the vouchers to be issued once the applications are submitted. So please, as with everything else, please be patient. And then you must receive a notification via email so that you have a voucher. You can't go out and purchase a bike today, then apply for a voucher and try to get reimbursed later. You get the voucher in hand and then you go buy your bike. That's how this program works. So in terms of your income eligibility, basically we're looking for under 300% of the federal poverty level. So this table is a handy reference for different household size for how much that is. And so for a family of four, $93,600, just to give you an example. This first column of priority applicants, so the program is specifically targeted. The program does want to see folks with that much lower income level participating in this program. So basically the base voucher amount to be eligible for the program, 300% or below, that gets you a $1,750 voucher. If you are a priority applicant and you meet the criteria in this middle column, you can be eligible for an additional $250. So basically that is people with this lower level of income, 225% or lower, or people that live in certain geographic regions that are designated as disadvantaged. The good news is that eligibility will be determined based on the information that you submit. You don't have to know specifically that you live in the region or provide that. That's going to be checked by the people reviewing your application. One important question that we get is, what do you mean by household? So basically, a household, it might be your family. So it's the people living under the same roof. So yourself, your spouse or registered domestic partner, any dependents or guardians in the household. So if you have children, if you have, grandparents or, your parents or your spouse's parents living with you and they are your dependents, they would be part of your household. What is not part of your household is if you have sort of a roommate situation, there's none of that finance pooling happening. There's, the relationship is just roommate, that would not count as part of your household. So there are going to open up a new window here because there are a number of ways that you can show that you're eligible for this program. And that documentation is going to be requested while you are in that application. So this is the list. It gives a number of different ways you can prove your income eligibility and what documentation you need to submit. And again, that would be uploading to that application form. And so again, this is just, there's an orange box right here. You click on it and it gives you this nice PDF that tells you what documentation is required. And then there are some categorical eligibility, meaning that if you qualify under this area, you just have to prove you're a participant in one of these programs. And you don't need that other documentation. So that would be Medi-Cal, SSI, you're a participant in the Section 8 rental program. Basically, there's a list here and links for what that means. So that is your income eligibility. Again, voucher, $1,750. If you're in one of those two priority groups, you can get an additional 250, and that information will be included when you get the voucher over email. It will say what you are eligible for, what that voucher amount is. That information will also be available to the retailer when you go to buy the bicycle. So what can be purchased? An eligible e-bike. I'll get to where that list is in a minute, but there are bikes that have been pre-screened that they know meet the criteria of eligibility. At the same time that you purchase that bicycle, you can also purchase accessories that you might need, like a helmet, a bike lock, a rack so that you can carry a bag, things like that. Any assembly and delivery fees that apply, and sales tax. So it has to be purchased at the same time to be used on that voucher. Okay, so next up, before you apply, there are a number of things that you can start doing today, this week, before the voucher process opens. You can basically, you cannot actually create an account on the website until the application window opens, but there are a number of other things you can do. The first thing we'd recommend is look at that income verification documentation, find your documents, make sure you have them in an electronic format so you can upload, have them all ready. So to show your residency, something like your driver's license, there are a couple other documents acceptable there to show your income. And then there are also 2 videos that are on this website. There are 2 videos on this website that are part of the they're part of the program, and basically they want you to watch these videos before submitting your application. So if you have time this week, we'd recommend going ahead and watching them now. The application will ask you to click a box to verify that you have watched them. One is on e-bike safety, and the other is on the environmental impact of riding an e-bike. So there you are. So basically collect all that documentation, watch the videos, and then on the day of launch, you will go back to the front page of this website, and there will be this handy button at the top that says apply here. The application is not live yet, but Pedal Ahead did provide us with an application video so that we can show you what that application will look like and how you will fill it out. This video is not yet on the website, but it will be soon. So if you want to rewatch it, that will be available to you shortly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and one of my colleagues is going to play that video for us now.
Yes, playing shortly.
It sounds like the audio has not caught up with the video yet. So just bear with us as we work that out for a moment. All right, it seems like our Zoom and audio connection is not quite working, but Andrew, if you can start the video over, I did watch this earlier, so can do a quick overview. Again, it's just really intended to give a simple overview of what the portal will look like. The video will be available before the launch window opens, so you can pause it and rewatch things and really learn how it works. But for now, let's just start the video over real quick, and I can just blib the things that we'll be hearing. Okay, how to apply for an e-bike incentive. Like I was showing a moment ago, you'll go to the website, review the application criteria, figure out if you qualify. That is our number one tip before you try to apply. Before you sit down at your computer on Wednesday, make sure you know if you are eligible for the program or not. We would love to see folks get these vouchers, and we know that no one wants to sit and fill out an application if right off the bat they're not eligible. So go to ebikeincentives.org and you will see on the day of, you will hit that apply now button in the top right-hand corner, and it will open up another screen. Basically, you are going to be put in a queue in the order that you clicked that button. It has an estimated wait time, and once you are out of the queue and it's your turn, you go in and start putting your information in. Make sure the email you use here is one that you can check at the time that you're applying, because you are going to be sent an email from the program to verify your email address and log in. So just make sure you have access to that email account and verify it, and then open it up. Create a password. Make sure you save that password because you will need it to log in. So then you're set up in the system, you log in. Again, make sure you save that password and an email address. So this page has all of the basic information about how you'll be doing the application and what documentation is required. It has additional links for more information if you need it, but it's basically lining up all of that information that you need. Once you're clear on what you need, click next. 20 to 30 minutes to complete, including, uploading those documentation and filling out your information. Make sure you have stable internet connection. It's very important. And do not leave the website or you will lose your progress. You will be asked to read and select that you agree to the terms and conditions. So you'll just click that box and hit next. And then you will start entering your information. That bar up at the top shows your progress in the application. You will be asked to share what kind of bike you're planning to buy. You are not required to stick to this. It is just for basic information. You will have, once you have the voucher, you will have a predetermined amount of time to select the bike you need. So make sure you're filling in your name, the same email you used to create your account, and your phone number. If your name does not match your documentation, you will have to provide some additional information and upload information there. So that is just another thing to keep in mind, but this is where you'll upload your documentation on your identity. You'll then start verifying your household income with, again, those eligible documentation of your household income. So whether that's your taxes or other Social Security, any other document on that list, you will upload it there. Again, roommates don't count, but it is members of your household. So your spouse, registered domestic partner, children, dependents, or guardians. You'll fill in a number of demographic questions. You'll fill in some information on your travel habits. You will confirm that you've watched those safety and educational videos. If you have not already, you'll watch them at this time while filling out the application. And you will confirm by checking those boxes that you did in fact watch those videos. You can select a number of different languages to do that. But again, if you want to watch those this week, you're free to do so, and then you'll just be able to tell the application next week that you've already completed that. You're going to sign a few more consent informations and type in your name as your signature, basically saying that you agree to electronically receive this information. Make sure you read all of the things you're signing, and then you're going to submit your application. You should get a confirmation email at the email address you provided. Make sure to add the ebikeincentives.org domain name to your safe senders list to avoid emails going to spam. Make sure to check your spam folder as well. Sometimes it will go there anyway. These applications are being processed by real humans, so it may take some time. People are going to be verifying the income documentation. This is also the time at which, if there are any questions about any of that documentation, and we can stop sharing the video now. If there are any questions about that documentation, the program administrator will reach out to you, and that'll be, you'll have an opportunity to provide additional information at their request. So that is the application process. Let me go back on video. I see that Adrian and Jill here from Pedal Ahead, the program administrator, are also on video. We are, in just a few minutes, we're going to start answering questions. I just have a few more things to go over. So basically, that's the application process. You go, get ready right before 6 p.m. to apply on the 18th. You may have to wait in that queue a while. We don't want it to feel like you're waiting to buy Taylor Swift tickets, but we know that this program is going to be very popular. So you might have to wait some time. But once you are let into the application, you have as much time as you need during that sitting to fill that out. Just make sure you don't navigate away. Make sure you have a stable internet connection. So if you need to, go grab that document, it wasn't where you thought it was, don't panic. It'll be, just keep it open, keep your internet active, and make sure that you can complete that in one sitting. So just be prepared that you may have to wait a little bit of time to get in. I also want to remind folks that there are 1,500 vouchers in this first application window. We know that many more people than that qualify, and there are a lot of people in California who would like these videos that would like these e-bikes and to participate in the program. So know that not everyone will get a voucher this time around who's sitting there at 6 p.m. waiting. I think everyone on this call would love to see everyone get the voucher who's eligible in this first window. That just isn't possible. So don't be deterred if you don't get in this time. There is going to be additional opportunity in the new year. We don't know the exact date of that yet, but this is just the first application window. So if you are contacted, you will get your confirmation email that you applied. You may be contacted by the program administrator for additional information. Please respond as soon as possible if that happens. The sooner you submit that paperwork, the sooner you might get your voucher. So once your voucher is issued, you will get an email. It will have the voucher amount. You will then have 45 days to go purchase your e-bike and any appropriate additional items that are allowed, such as helmets, bags, racks, that sort of thing. There is a list. Let me share my screen again. Okay, there is a list on the website of eligible e-bikes. So it has information on the different types of e-bikes that are eligible. So there's your regular old bicycle looking e-bike, class 1 through 3. So the classes of e-bikes relate to their top speed and whether they are pedal assist only, meaning the motor doesn't help you unless you are pedaling, or if they have a throttle. Class 2, if you can use a throttle and not pedal and achieve up to 20 miles an hour. Class 3 goes to 28 miles an hour. So that's what class 1 through 3 means in a nutshell. But this has, so that's your traditional type of e-bike. Cargo e-bikes, this is a very large version. There are also smaller versions. They basically allow you to carry additional cargo or humans. And then adaptive e-bikes are e-bikes specific to folks who might have some mobility challenges based on the needs of the rider. There's a number of other criteria that must be met basically to ensure that the e-bikes are going to be safe and quality. So motor size, having operable pedals, front light, rear light equipped, have a battery that's been safety tested, a warranty, and must be delivered fully assembled. So things that aren't eligible, used bikes, unfortunately, conversion kits to convert a traditional bike to an e-bike, bikes that do not fall into one of those three classes. Those are not e-bikes. Bikes without integrated lights or scooters or mopeds. So there is a list on the website. If you kind of are more knowledgeable about what bicycle you might want, there is a list that you can open up here with brand names and models that have been reviewed. So I would check that list out. And essentially, the retailers, the next thing I wanted to go over was where you actually get the e-bike. So this is about the bikes, e-bike shoppers. So you can only use your voucher at an approved retailer. There is a map on this website. You can enter a location. So I'm going to put in Carb headquarters, 1001 I Street in Sacramento. Who is running the program. And so if I lived at Carb headquarters, these are the closest retailers that are part of the program to me. So Mike's Bikes, Paco's Bike and Ski, Trek, anyway, you get the point. So it kind of shows you where they are near you. You can enter any information there. So you can then click on, you can zoom out on the map. You can see how many there are in the region. And then you can go directly, it'll link you directly to that website. So the approved retailers have all been trained by Pedal Ahead. They know how to find the information on what voucher you personally have been issued to confirm that, and they know the information on the approved bikes. So basically, visit one of these approved retailers. You can talk to them about your needs and have pick out that e-bike and any of those approved accessories that you want to buy at the same time. And what basically happens is you have your voucher and they will redeem that at the point of sale. So that will be a discount off your purchase price. You are not going and spending the $2,000 and being reimbursed. That purchase price that you pay will reflect the discount of the voucher. You have 45 days to use your voucher. I believe that there is an extension allowed if you are not able to use the voucher in that time, but you must ask for that extension. We highly encourage you to visit the retailers once you have your voucher, test ride a bike, really figure out what bike is going to be best for you, because we want to see this program succeed. We want to see people using these e-bikes. And the best way to know that you're going to use something is to make sure you're getting the best possible fit for yourself or yourself and anyone you might be. In my household, we have one e-bike that we share between two people. So some folks might do that as well. But basically, we suggest you go talk to someone, do a test ride if you're able to. It's always very helpful. So again, if you don't receive a voucher this round, there will be additional opportunities in the new year. The program has about 31 million allocated, so that's about 15,000 vouchers, and there are only 1,500 being released this time around. So there will be additional opportunities in the new year, and we don't have a date specified for that second launch yet, but I know that the administrators will let us know what that date is as soon as they're able to. So that is the extent of our presentation. We are now going to start doing questions from attendees. And I know my colleagues here have been reviewing the questions as they come in. And I believe that Laura was going to help queue up some questions. Also, I believe some folks are answering the questions live if there are things we already have answers to. And then again,
Kendra?
yes,
Oh, sorry. I marked a few questions. It says you would like to answer this question live. I don't
perfect.
know
Let
how
me
you,
open
can you
that.
see those? Yeah, so just the
I-
ones that where there is no answer live box were some that I thought you could answer live. And we might
Got it.
ask Pedal Ahead for some.
Yeah. So Adrian, if you guys want to introduce yourselves,
Yeah, Adrian Campos.
I'm Jill Farrell. Hi.
We're managers here at Pedal Ahead, the administrator for the program. So we've been involved in just about every aspect of getting the program ready for launch. So hopefully we can cover most, if not all, of the questions that come up today. So happy to be here and thank you for everything, Kendra and team.
great. Yeah, thank you for making time. I know you guys are very busy this week and last week. So, okay, I think I can see the ones that have been marked to answer live. The first one I see here is with some brands, the price is significantly cheaper on the corporate website, but at the dealership, the bikes are full retail price. Must we buy at an approved brick and mortar? My understanding is that yes, you need to buy at somewhere where it is going to deliver the bike fully assembled to you. There are some options for online retailers that are available in the website, but that is how the program is being administered to make sure that these are being delivered to the consumer, ready to ride.
That is correct. Yeah, and the retailers. Part of the reason we want, to your point earlier about going to local retailers to try out the bikes, make sure they work. We want to make sure that if there's no questions about proper fitting, proper use, there's an opportunity to do that when you're going to the retailer. And also, one of the requirements of the program is that it's delivered fully assembled and safety checked. And so that's why the manufacturers would love to send it to you, in a box for you to assemble, but that's not within the parameters of the program.
Thank you. Okay. So another question about sales tax. Sales tax is eligible for the voucher, so that $1,750 or $2,000 is total cost of the purchase with any sales tax or accessories. Unfortunately, I don't believe sales tax can be waived on the voucher amount because it is still a purchase. It is just somebody else paying for it. Let's
Correct.
see. Through here. Does the e-bike have to come from the factory with an integrated front headlight, or can the bike shop integrate the headlight to the battery? I believe the front headlight must be integrated when it's delivered, and the rear can be added at the point of sale.
There are some bike models that can be integrated at the shop. The front light, it's an option. You can buy, Model A and it comes without the headlight, or you can buy Model B and it's essentially the same bike, and the shop can install it. But it must leave the shop with that front integrated light installed. And more importantly, it first needs to be on our approved list of bikes. So even though the shop has it, and if that's the bike that you're interested in, the shop still needs to submit it so that our compliance team here can review it and make sure that it indeed fits all of the requirements of the program.
Great. Yeah. Here's another question that I think you will be very helpful with, Adrian or Jill. So we've had a few questions come in about folks who have zero income. It's difficult to prove a negative, a zero amount. What type of documentation are they able to provide?
I mean,
No,
first and foremost, if they have, if they're receiving some kind of public assistance and they have that, provide that to us. If that's your only income, provide that. If they really get nothing and they don't get any assistance, I mean, they still do have to prove that they don't make any money.
So
on the website, a few of the options for proving or for categorical eligibility were that you received Medi-Cal or that you are a Section 8 recipient. So those are some options. You don't
Yes,
right? That's not income.
Security. Yeah.
Correct. And so in the last few days, we've been inundated with a lot of these questions like, what can I provide? You know, I didn't work this year, but I did last year. I don't have anything. So if you're filling out the application and you have to upload something and you're not sure if you have the right one, I recommend uploading what you do have. This way you're able to complete your application, you submit it, and you'll still have time. You know, it's going to take us, a few days to, could be a month before we get to you, depending if you're number 1 or 1500. So you've got time. We will review it in our compliance team. And then right there, we'll ask for clarification or work with you to see what type of documentation would be best. So the important thing is if you're not sure, just upload what you have so that you can complete the application, and we'll work with you on the back end to see if we need anything additional. And the same thing goes, I saw some questions about California IDs that might be expired. Go ahead and if all you have is your expired ID, upload that. That will buy you some time to get the new one in, and at least you can complete the application and get it in. And if we see it's expired, we'll reach out to you and ask for an updated one, but you'll have a few weeks for that.
Yeah, and I think to note, we've gotten a ton of questions about the residency verification, and it does need to be one of the 3 listed documents. It needs to be a California driver's license, an AB60 driver's license, or a California state ID. We have gotten a lot of other questions about that, and it does need to be one of those 3. Like Adrian said, if for some reason you're waiting on it to come in the mail, upload what you have, and then by the time we get to reviewing your application and we request it, hopefully you've gotten the updated version.
Yeah, there is an exception for military members of the military that are deployed in California. They can apply by providing their military orders showing that they're deployed in California.
Great, thank you. We've seen a few questions also about eligibility on which tax transcript is requested. There are multiple different types.
Yeah, the one you're going to want to submit is the tax return transcript. So this lists the line items of the tax return.
Great. And another question for Medi-Cal, does one just need to upload a copy of the card? I believe on the eligibility list, so let's look here. Going to go back to the documentation page. You all have a quick answer. I was just going to pull up the page and.
Yeah, if they have their, if all they have is the card, upload that. If they have the award letter, that's preferable because we'd like to identify if it's awarded for income purposes.
Great. Prior documentation may vary. Great. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. So here's a question about the application process itself. Once you start adding your information, are you in, or is it still dependent on how fast you can fill out your application form? So I know that there is a queue process, first come, first serve, and I know that you can fill it out. You can take your time to fill it out. So that leads me to believe that once you are in the form, you do have a larger chance than if you were not in the form of getting the voucher, but it is still not 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, and one thing to note with that too is once you start filling out the application, you need to make it all the way to the end and hit submit. If you leave the application, it's not going to save your progress. So there's a few different pages that you have to go through, and getting all the way to the end and hitting submit.
Great. One question about e-bikes. Can you buy an e-bike for $2,000, or are most e-bikes more than $2,000 and so cash will be required? I can say from experience and talking to some retailers, there are a number of e-bikes that are under $2,000 available from a number of different sources. The approved e-bikes list is important because we do want to make sure that you're getting an e-bike that's high quality and that's going to last and that's going to be repairable. It has a safe battery and all that information, and is a legal e-bike. So there are bikes on that list that cost under $2,000. from different manufacturers, different retailers. So you should be able to get one within the voucher amount. We have seen people who did the, you know, the initial soft launch get some of those accessories as well within that amount.
Yeah, that's correct. In the soft launch, which was our test launch, the majority of the bikes that were purchased were around $1,500 to $1,700, and so that left room to cover taxes. And a lot of participants were able to, you know, to get a helmet and a bike lock along with that as well. I did see a
Okay.
question
Mhm.
scrolling through, and we get it here frequently. Can I get 2 bikes for 1,000 each? The answer is no. You can only get 1 bicycle per voucher, and again, we want to get as many people out there on bikes, so we limit it to 1 bicycle per voucher.
And follow on to that, more than one voucher can be issued per household.
Correct.
So if there's another adult over the age of 18 in your household that would like to apply, they're able to do so. That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's just
You just
limited
can't
to
have more than one per
yeah,
person.
one per individual. Yep.
So there are questions on purchasing a second battery or an extra charger with that incentive. Is that
That is
an
not
option?
included. If someone wants to purchase those, that would be an out-of-pocket expense.
Let's see. Looking through the questions here. What file types are acceptable when attaching your qualifying documentation?
To my knowledge, they are all acceptable. There's no limit on any file type.
Right.
Yeah, if it's a scan and you've got a PDF or you've got a picture with a JPEG or PNG or what have you, you should be able to upload those for any reason when we're reviewing. If we can't open it, we contact you. And then the other thing too is just make sure that if you're taking a picture, we can see and everything is legible for us. So make sure, you know, look at it, it's not blurry. We can actually read the information that you're submitting.
Great. Another application logistics question about when you go to create the login and then you have to go check your email to verify your account. Does that count as leaving the website and you lose your place in the application? Or will you keep your place in line? I believe that you can just have your email open in another window on your computer
Yeah.
so that you would still have the e-bike window, the eBIP window open and your email in another. And so you are not actually leaving.
Your place in line is actually to get to the point of getting your login created. So once you create your login, you'll get the confirmation, you know, asking you to finish setting up your login, password, etc. And you will have a link to return back to the site. So you've already made it in if you've gotten to that point. And all that's left would be to fill out the application.
Great. Another question on income. Social Security goes up January 1st. Do we use current year or 2025? I believe you would use what you have documentation of. So today, what is your income today when you're applying? Okay. Here's a question on the priority applicant list or criteria. Will the people at 225% of the federal poverty level and living in disadvantaged communities, that's the other part of the priority application, will they be prioritized first come, first serve, or do they skip the line and get to be reviewed first?
There is, for the priority applicants under the 225%, the priority is not in jumping in front of the line or getting in quicker. It is in, they get additional dollars in their voucher. So they get an additional 250, but they still have to go through the application process.
Perfect. So here's another question. Will more than 1,500 applications be allowed to be submitted on the 18th? Or will you only allow 1,500 vouchers in the first round? And I know that only 1,500 vouchers will be issued in the first round, but there's some allowance for a few additional applications getting submitted that, because there is an evaluation process of every application to make sure that people qualify. And you know that during that process, some people will be deemed ineligible.
That's correct.
Here's another question. What's the ballpark that we expect to hear back once you apply? I believe information on the website said up to 60 days.
Yeah, it could take up to 60 days. So, if out of the 1,500, you're number 10, chances are you're going to hear within a day or two. But it's once we get into 100, 200 deep, and depending on how complete those applications are or not, I would think that, it's going to be, as we get deeper into it, it'll go to 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And we do quote up to 60 days just so, those people at the end of the line know that they could potentially be at 60 days until they hear from us. But, if you're one of the early ones, it's probably just going to be a matter of a few days.
Okay.
But everyone will receive an email saying that we've received their application on day one.
Okay. Going through. Someone is asking what an award letter is for people that are on disability, on permanent disability. And I'm assuming that it is the letter that says so-and-so individual at this address has been placed on this program and has met our qualifications.
Correct.
And if you do not have that letter, typically you should be receiving some sort of periodic payment from that agency, and that is another type of documentation you could use. But the administrator may want to come back and ask you, for additional follow-up. I will note that this questioner said, my daughter who is 17 is who they were asking about. And I did want to remind folks that this program is restricted to folks 18 and older. So wanted to answer the question about the award letter, but note that you do need to be 18 years old. Another household member could apply.
Yeah, and that's 18 at the time of application.
Okay. Sorry, folks, lots of questions with similar themes. Is there additional instruction guidance on how to upload document verification on the online application? I know there was that first page that we saw in the video of what the documentation is. I believe it'll be like uploading on pretty much any website at this point, where there'll be a button to upload. You select on your computer where you'd like to upload from. I believe this does mean that you need to be at an actual computer and not necessarily another device like a tablet or a smartphone to fill out the application.
Some people, like my kids, can probably do it on a phone. I can't. My thumbs are too fat. But if possible, I definitely would recommend a computer just for accuracy. But you're correct. So it's just a matter of going in, selecting the file that you already scanned and uploading it. And I would recommend having those documents scanned before you go into, into the website at 6 p.m. That way you're not trying to scan it and get it in there. It's already ready to go. You know where it is, and it's just a smooth process.
Yeah, save it on your desktop or have a file named so you know exactly where to look for it when you're searching for the file.
We've had a few questions on if someone's application and where they reside now is different from their income verification address. Like say they moved recently, but they were qualified, they got all this information previously at a different address. Will that be a problem?
How we go, so whatever address they use on the application is what we're going to try to tie the other documents to. So if I apply at 123 Main Street, then my ID card should say 123 Main Street. If it doesn't, we would ask for additional document to support it. That would take care of the address part of it. The income documentation is not used to verify the address. That's used to verify the income. So if that has a different income, as long as the address lines up with the ID provided, we're okay.
Great. All right. So I think we've mostly answered this, but there's a question. If you don't have proper documentation during the application window, can you provide it within that processing timeline? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the instruction is upload what you have that you think proves it, that meets as well as you can that list of eligibility criteria and the documentation required. Upload those documents with your application. Will the application let you submit without documents uploaded? I'm assuming the answer is no.
No, you have to
Great,
upload
so-
something. And like you said too, and I think Adrian's already said it, it's really hard to know, like we can't look at everyone's documentation right now that's asking about it. So submit what you have that you think shows, your residency verification and shows a complete picture of your income. And then if we have questions, we will reach out. So, and it may take up to 60 days to hear back from us about it, but we will reach out if we have questions.
Great. And another question is, I think I heard that if I'm already awarded SSI, Medi-Cal, Medicare, CalFresh, this qualification is all I need to verify income. And so SSI, Medi-Cal, Medicaid, which is the federal name of what Californians call Medi-Cal. So this is not Medicare. This is not the Medicare program. And CalFresh is also not on that list, but SSI, Medi-Cal, and then there's a number of other programs that relate to accessing these transportation options for people with low incomes, such as Access Clean California, Driving Clean Assistance Program, Regional Clean Cars for All. So these are all things that if you qualify for that program and you can prove that, that is what you need for income verification. And Section 8. So those basically, you've already proven your income to those folks. So you just upload your award letter or the letter that shows your eligibility has been granted by those organizations. But it does not, Medicare and CalFresh are not on that list.
Correct.
Okay. What needs to be shared in the 3 most recent months bank statements that are needed for unemployment income verification documentation? So looking at the eligibility list, it does
First and
say,
foremost-
yeah, it says award letter and bank
Yeah.
statements.
Yeah, correct. And we need to clearly see the name of the applicant on those documents.
And I would say it's not an and, it's an or. If they can show that they're getting a award letter, that they're getting unemployment, and it's stated and has their name on it, that's fine. We don't need to also see your bank statements. It's a or.
Okay. So one question about getting an e-bike. What if I do not live near an approved retailer? I know that some of the retailers that are eligible offer online purchasing and sales. Many of them you can, or at least some of them you can schedule a call and they'll talk to you on Zoom about what you need. Is there an easy way to find which of those retailers
Yes, there
are
is.
online?
There is a blue icon on the map. If you see blue, that means they're able to do online. And we also have, if you look, I think on the first on that list is 3K to go. That is, they actually deliver throughout most of the state, and there are some models that they carry for the program. So they can, I'm pretty sure they'll be pretty busy once we launch. So there are a few, if you look on the list, I think another one is VeloFix that also works directly with a lot of the shops that are approved, and they deliver for them as well. So you can reach out to a shop and they may already have a working relationship with one of these delivery services. And I will say that since we since we gave a date for the statewide launch, we've been inundated with retailers who now want to participate. So the list is going to get a lot, the map is going to fill up pretty quick as we get those retailers approved and on the map.
Yeah, so if you don't see a retailer by you now, over the next 30 days, we're going to be going through all of the retailers that have submitted interest forms to us and adding more retailers. So there may be someone who's near you that just wasn't approved prior to launch that gets approved afterwards.
Great. All right. Another question, can the voucher be used on more than one visit as long as the total is under the voucher amount? And the answer to that is no, you need to purchase everything at the same time. If you use
Correct.
the voucher gets redeemed at one time.
Yeah. The system has no way of storing the balance. So once the voucher is used, just make sure, if you want any accessories, get them at the time of you pick up your bike, and please use up the full amount if you can.
Another question, do I need more than one income verification document if we upload a tax transcript? And the answer is no. Whichever way you qualify, you upload that document that's required for that qualification type, and then you're good. You do not need to qualify in multiple ways.
Correct.
I worked until July and my income is under the allowed amount. Are my pay stubs sufficient proof? I believe, unfortunately, that would allow, if you were just using pay stubs, that would allow folks to continue to work. Although if I'm looking at the eligibility requirements, it says 3 months most recent.
In the absence of other documents, we may accept pay stubs, but applicants should know that when it comes to pay stubs, the application, the review process is going to take longer. It gets, once you start getting to reviewing monthly pay, and then we have to prorate it and make sure we're looking at the correct numbers. We may have other questions based on what's submitted. It could take a while. So for faster processing, definitely tax transcripts or other categorical documents. Worst case scenario, we could ask for and use pay stubs, but it does add a lot of time to the approval process, and it gets a little more complicated on the verification side.
Great. Another question, if some of the 1,500 applicants this round are deemed ineligible, will additional vouchers be issued? And the answer is yes, there will be additional windows that open. There won't be, once this application window will close, I'm assuming on the evening of the 18th, those 1,500 applications will be in, just a wild guess there, but that's the close of the window. Then there'll be an announcement at some point early, in the first few months of next year, most likely that an additional window will be open, but there won't be any more issued for this first window. But that money does not disappear, right? If someone is not eligible and they were counted in the 1,500, that just ends up, that money will just be used later by the program.
Correct.
Will the bike get delivered to the retailer or to my home? And I think that depends on how you purchase your bicycle. If you, like we talked about a minute ago, if you buy from one of those retailers that does home delivery, if you live outside of a region or outside of a city that has one of these approved retailers, they may be able to deliver it to your home. In some cases, your retailer may just have you pick it up at the shop. It really depends on where you're doing that purchase.
Yeah, and they could have it delivered. Just know that there's an expense to that, and it's usually not cheap. We're talking about a van that's going to take you a fully assembled bike to your home. The voucher will pay for that, but it could cost well over $100 depending on the distance. It could be over $200. So if that's the case, you just need to make sure that you're prepared to pay for it out of pocket if there's not any amount for that on the voucher after the purchase. And if the bike gets to you, you mentioned this earlier, we really encourage people to try the bike out, and if they can, go to the shop, because let's say you do have the bike delivered to your home, and after a day you're like, oh, this doesn't fit quite right, or I'm not happy with it. It's on you to pay for it for the return. So that's a fully assembled bike that could weigh well over 60 pounds. And that's not cheap.
Okay, let's see. Okay, here's a question. If you are a person who is a dependent of someone else, will you be providing their information? And so my first response to that is, if you are in the same household, you will be providing income documentation for the household. But what happens if someone is a dependent, but they live elsewhere? I'm guessing that this type of scenario would happen if someone were in college. If you income qualify on your own based on your income, but you are a dependent of someone else, how does that work for eligibility?
Per the implementation manual. So if you are dependent on someone else, then we're looking at the household income. If
you are still within their household, even if you live separately.
Correct. There are some
which
students
is how
who are
the federal
dependents,
government treats it for taxes.
and there are some students who are independent. And so it depends on which category you actually fall into. But if your parents are supporting you and they're claiming you on their taxes, then we would get the household income for the entire household.
We have one question about people who, for people whose tax transcripts from last year are not reflecting their current income status. I assume in this case, the person has lost a significant amount of their income and was not eligible before, but would be now. They asked for suggestions on how to show this. My first suggestion would be that you should find a different way to document your income. One of the ways is that 3 months most recent of your W-2s for this year. So that would be a way to document that your income for this year. Like say you do your, 2 November paychecks and December paycheck, the first half of December, and that will show that your income as of that point this year is X and you meet the criteria. And so, just finding a way that's not the tax transcript that you can submit.
Correct. And there are ways, like I said, it adds time to the approval process, and we may ask for additional documents depending on what's provided.
Right. Let's see. So one person asked about eligible e-bikes and worrying that the allowed 750 watts under the eligibility criteria would not sufficiently power a bicycle to meet their needs as a person over 350 pounds due to a disability. And how will they be able to get a bicycle that will meet their needs? Is there a case-by-case review? I believe that that the point of, one of the points of the adaptive bicycle eligibility under the program is that those are done, those are created with different types of users in mind. So I would suggest that it's possible that there is an adaptive, it may be a little bit more difficult to find, but that an adaptive bicycle may be better able to meet that need than one of your traditional two-wheeled e-bikes. But I do know that the program criteria for what e-bikes are eligible, not 750 watts, that is, according to state law, what is an e-bike is 750 watts or below, and this program is only funding e-bikes. And so that is not something that's flexible.
Yeah, it must be 750 watts or less.
Is a PO box sufficient for an address if your ID is current, but you've moved from the address on the current ID? I know that, Adrian, you mentioned a few minutes ago that there's residency verification and then there is income verification. So if you have that ID showing your California address, you should be good in terms of proving your residency.
Correct. And most applicants want to put down their address because the system will look at the address on a low income map. And if it identifies that you live in a designated low income, you'll get the additional $250, but it's not going to recognize a PO box.
And there was
And
someone who
there-
lives in a
there-
shelter, and can you address that and has a PO box?
Yes, so this is where we look at it more on a case-by-case basis because there's a lot of inconsistency when it comes to defining, unhoused. One person who might be, staying with a friend might consider themselves unhoused, versus a completely the same situation, and they don't consider themselves unhoused. So apply with an address. If you're staying with someone, apply with an address. If you are receiving services from an organization, many times that organization will allow you to use their address, and that would be totally fine. And that might actually help with the approval process as well.
Okay. So we have a number of questions where people are concerned about logistically and technologically how things will work with the application. I know from previous conversations with Adrian and Jill and their colleagues that they are aware, we know that other states have had their websites crash when they launch a program like this. And I know that Pedal Ahead is working with, so the application is built on a system and, they have assistance from a technology provider that has experience with these types of programs specifically. That's, we don't have, just Tender the nonprofit employee running this application window. There are people that have expertise in developing these sorts of websites and application
Yes.
technology.
So we've partnered with an organization that they're the organization that handles large sales or ticket sales. To say you want Taylor Swift tickets, and they handle large volumes because we know we could see a really large number of applicants hitting our site. So that's why we've partnered with them to create a waiting room. And so everybody's going to go into the waiting room, and that will protect our site. And if the launch date, was tonight and I go in at 6 p.m., I'm going to be on the site, and there'll be a clock that'll be timing down to the actual launch date to 6 p.m. I don't have to do it. I don't have to refresh. I could just sit there on the site, and at 6 p.m., it's going to put me into this waiting room, and it's going to tell me, Adrian, you have your estimated wait time is 20 minutes or whatever amount. I don't have to do a thing. Probably the best thing for me is to sit there until I see if I get in or if the window closes. Probably best not, and there's no need to refresh the screen. Once you're in, just sit there and you'll be instructed to go to the next step, or you'll eventually see that the applications have been fulfilled and we're no longer accepting applications. And yes, there will be a full team of IT people monitoring this for us.
Okay. We've had a few more questions about how someone goes about proving their income if they have no income. And what I have heard so far is you provide the documentation that's available to you, that you qualify. One question stated in such a way as, I'm 18 and I've never had a job. If that's the case, you're likely in a household of some folks that do have a job, and you would be providing documentation of their income.
Correct. And we get a lot of these questions on a daily basis, and it's hard to give a blanket response to it because I think a lot of it is based on people not understanding whether or not they're part of a household or not. And that's a good point. If you're 18 and you qualify and you say, I don't have an income, okay, but where do you live, and are you a dependent of your parents? And again, for this program, it's based on household income. The parents, the dependents, would provide their parents or whoever's supporting them income documentation. And with that said, there are some people that truly don't have an income. And again, provide what you have. We will certainly, if you get your application in and you provide something, we will certainly reach out and find out what the situation is, and we'll be better able to advise you on what type of documentation we can take.
All right. A few folks are asking about step-by-step information about the application, or missing earlier parts of this webinar. So we will be posting a recording of this webinar and sending an email to everyone who registered with that link. Pedal Ahead has also provided they have created a video that goes step-by-step through the application, which we aired earlier in this webinar. That is not yet on the website, but it should be before the launch windows. You will be able to rewatch that. We also aired it during this webinar, so if you get the recording from us, you can view the version we looked at here. So we have another question. There are a number of questions about how the program is being administered and why different choices were being made. And a lot of those we're not really answering, because we're trying to get to as many questions on how people can apply and what they need to do to apply. I will say that some things have changed over the course of the program. Part of that is, over the course of things that have been announced previously, the number of applicants that will be selected during this first window. And the idea here is this first window is 1,500. The administrator will learn how the process works, how long it takes for them to verify the information submitted, how long it takes to get the vouchers issued. And so they will be better prepared they're well prepared now, they'll be better prepared next time around. So I believe that that's, you know, some of the changes have been made to help facilitate a process that works well for this initial large launch. The same amount of money and number of vouchers total is still available. It's just being released in a different amount. There have been a few questions about previous types of vouchers. There have not been previous e-bike incentive project vouchers through this program. If you had previously applied to an e-bike voucher program, it was not this one. It's not related. That information is not in this system. That's totally separate. So we had a few different things there. Question on income eligibility for someone that's self-employed. I know that the documentation PDF says that you can use a 1099 if you are self-employed to verify your income. Another question, I think we've answered this before, but is a picture of your Medi-Cal card sufficient? You do need your Medi-Cal award letter. Being eligible, being awarded Medi-Cal is one way you can income qualify. If you do not have that award letter, I believe what Adrian said earlier is that you can submit what you have, and that might be the card, but you are going to be asked for additional documentation once that is being reviewed. We have questions on applying if someone in the household is on Social Security disability or Social Security. They are part of the household. You are submitting documentation for each member of the household. The documentation does not have to be the same type for each person. So if for one person, their documentation is they qualify for SSI, that's it, they're done. They don't have to be on any other, they don't have to be on the tax return. That counts. You don't have to use, it doesn't have to be all the same form for each. It doesn't have to be a joint tax return for the household for it to be ineligible. We've had a few questions on the disadvantaged community areas and how people will find out if they are eligible as part of the program. And I did want to start out by saying living in a disadvantaged community does not in and of itself qualify you for the voucher. That qualifies you for the additional $250 if that applies. And I know that the application portal, when it records your address, will determine if you live in one of those areas or not. So then if you get a voucher, it will state that, yes, you live in this area, you get the additional $250 if that's relevant. If someone wants to know if they live in one of these areas, is that something they're able to find on the website? I don't believe it is.
Not on our
yes.
website.
I posted a map in the chat of the
Yeah, there's-
SB 530.
Yeah, if you
There's
go
a
to the
link.
website, I will open it back up right now. If you go to the website, to the page, you're on the eligibility page,
Yeah, okay.
you scroll down, and here it says, priority applicants are those with a gross household income of 225% or less, or who live in a disadvantaged community. Right here, it highlights Cal EnviroScreen map, and this website will let you open that map. So you can look that up there, but again, you do not need to determine your eligibility for that. The application will develop that for you. Another question, can I get into the website to get in line before 6 p.m.? No, you cannot. Press the button at 6 p.m. Apply now. Right at 6 p.m. Everyone at the same time, get in line. a few questions on if I have a local shop that's not participating, how can they sign up? If you go back to that, if you tell them you think they should sign up for this program, they can go to ebikeincentives.org, and there is a section on the top for e-bike retailers, and you click on that and it says apply to be a real retailer. So they can just go there. Someone asked if I am helping someone else apply, can I use the same email address for multiple applications? And I believe the answer is no, because that email address should be for the person who is applying, not, it should be for the individual who is trying to qualify for the voucher, not the person who is helping them apply. So I would say if those people do not have email addresses currently, you're already being very helpful. Do them one additional assistance and sign them up for a free email account for this purpose.
Yeah, if they do attempt to use the same email address, it won't accept it. It'll say you're already in the system.
Yeah, the email address is effectively your user ID for the application. And then any communication regarding it would go to that email address as well, so.
Right. I have some additional questions about your tax return. People have asked which line on the tax return is the gross income. I know it changes based on which form, if it's the 1040, 1040A, 1040 easy, but it is the gross income, not the adjusted gross.
Gross
So it
before,
should be, yeah.
and they're also gonna wanna get the tax return transcript, not the actual tax return. We don't want people's socials. We don't want that in our system. We don't wanna have to have it in there. So the tax return transcript.
Yeah, that's
And
a good thing. If anybody is, depending on what they're sending in, we don't need your socials. We have some people who right now are interested and they send us their socials. We don't want your social. If it's on any of your documents, your bank account information, just block it out. We don't want it. We don't need it. It's best for you just to keep it secure. Take a black marker and just write right through it before you scan anything and send it to us.
And yeah, there was another question on this, a lot of personally identifiable information being shared. Are there safeguards in place to keep this private? You know, as Adrian and Joe mentioned, there is this third party that's helping with the portal itself and privacy there. I know that to participate just as somebody sharing information about the program, I am not looking at any applications. We do not have a part in that. Everyone on our team at CalBike had to sign a form saying that we would keep all of these different types of personally identifiable information private. We are not receiving them, but as part of the program period, we sign those. So they're taking it very seriously. You know, please, you know, black out your social security number and everything else Adrian just said, but there are a lot of things in place that are doing that. I know, let's see, I know we're coming up on time. I appreciate there are a lot of questions. Hopefully we're getting as close to answering all of them as we can. There are a lot of questions about making sure bikes aren't getting into the wrong hands, getting sold. How are we verifying this? You are required to have the bike and be using it for a year as part of the program. I think what, you know, the goal here today is to talk about how people who are eligible can get these bikes. And so, you know, I think that may be part of a different conversation if folks are interested in that. I don't know if one that's scheduled, but, you know, we're really here today to talk about how people that are eligible can get the vouchers and use them. See. Okay, here's another question about when you indicate which type of bicycle you are thinking about buying in the application window, you are not tied to that type. You have your 45 days from when you're issued the voucher to pick the exact bike you want from the eligible list. The voucher is not different based on what type of bike you get. It is $17.50 for people that qualify under 300% of the federal poverty level, and an additional $250 for folks that are in one of those disadvantaged communities or 225% of the poverty level or lower. If you are, let's see, more questions, trying to verify how to submit your income. Again, if you are a dependent, you are part of a household, you provide information for that household. That's how household income works. So one question about, is my letter for cost of living adjustment from Social Security good enough? I believe that that would qualify as a, a word letter. It's stating what your benefit is. I know that gets updated every year. So those types of documents that say that have your name, right? Your name is an important part of that, and what the amount is that you are receiving, that shows that you qualify. But also just if it's Social Security or one of those other categorical eligibility programs, a letter with your name on it that says you are part of this program, you are eligible, that qualifies. Let's see. Adrian, Jill, anything else you want to say? I know we have about 2 minutes left. Really appreciate
Just
your
to
time being on the webinar
to
today.
reiterate, maybe to people who maybe didn't get their specific question answered regarding which documents or which ID. Again, the important thing is get to the waiting room in time. If you get to the point where your application is input into the system, upload what you have. You will have opportunity. We'll reach out to you if the documents are not correct or need clarification. You will have an opportunity to get that to us. The important thing is get your application in, and don't let the lack of knowing whether the document's correct or not hold you back. Upload something, what you think is the correct thing, and we'll reach out to you if it's not.
Great. Well, we really appreciate everyone attending today. Again, we'll be providing the recording to everyone who registered. We encourage folks to go on ebikeincentives.org, familiarize yourself with the required documentation, get all your PDFs or JPEGs, however you're going to upload those documents, get them ready, double check the list, make sure it's the correct documentation. If you aren't sure if you have the right thing, just make sure you have the thing that is as close to what is being requested as possible, and just be ready, get at your computer a few minutes before 6 p.m. Make sure you have your internet window open to ebikeincentives.org. You'll be able to click apply here right at 6 p.m. to get in that queue. And then you'll have to be a little patient, and good luck to everyone participating. We're very excited for the program to launch. We look forward to having more webinars like this for future release windows. And thank you, Jill and Adrian, for joining us today and putting together that great video. We look forward to sharing that as well. And I know it'll be on your website when you've uploaded it. So hopefully soon. But thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra.
I'm going to click end. Okay.
Welcome to the California e-bike incentive project application process. Before you begin this application, you'll want to confirm that you are eligible for a voucher. Are you a California resident at least 18 years of age? Is your annual household income at or below 300% of the federal poverty level? If you answered yes to the above, you'll need to have an active email address, the ability to provide proof of income, proof of residency, and complete online e-bike safety and climate impact trainings. Let's proceed. On the date and time that an incentive window opens, navigate to the California e-bike incentive project website at ebikeincentives.org. Click on the Apply Now link, and you'll be placed in a first-come, first-served queue. Follow the prompts as noted. The following links will take you to the application where you will begin to provide your information. To create a new account, you will need to fill in the required fields: first name, last name, email address, and phone number. Once you click Sign Up Now, you will receive an email with a link to set up a password for your account. Make sure to check your junk or spam folder if you don't see it within a few minutes. Click the link and create a password, then confirm your password and click Change Password. Make sure that you keep track of the email and password you entered, as this is how you will log into the application and later your voucher redemption. Once you log into the application, you will see a headline that says Welcome Applicants. Scrolling down, you will see the application instructions with links to more information about the required residency and income documentation. We've also added links to find more information on these requirements in the video description below. To begin your application, click Next. Keep in mind that the application should take around 20 to 30 minutes to complete. We encourage you to make sure that you have sufficient time to complete it prior to starting. Please be aware that it's important that you have a stable internet connection before you start the application to avoid interruptions. Also, be sure not to navigate away from the portal during your application, as you will lose your progress and have to start over. You will not be able to save your progress on the application, so you will need to complete it in full at one time. The first portion of the application will be the participant's terms and conditions. Read thoroughly and click I agree when ready to proceed. By clicking I agree, you will be able to click forward to the next screen. Please note, you will see a progress bar at the top of this section that tracks your steps through the application. At the bottom of the screen, there will be navigation buttons, Previous and Next. These will move you between the sections of the application. If you need to go back, you can click the Previous button without losing your progress. The first section of the application will be the information that you filled out when registering your account. Be sure to double-check that your name and email address are correct. The next two sections will be the residency verification and income verification portion of the application. You will need to provide your current address and a copy of your current, valid California driver's license or California AB60 driver's license or California issued identification card. If your name or address on your identification do not match the information you entered into the application, please see the link provided for additional documentation that will need to be provided. You will also need to provide a list of household members, including spouses, registered domestic partners, and any dependents or guardians, as well as income documentation to verify total household income. For this program, a household is defined as the applicant, their spouse or domestic partner, and any dependents. You do not need to list adults that are not a spouse, domestic partner, or dependents, such as roommates. We strongly encourage you to look over the acceptable documents and make sure that you have them ready to submit electronically prior to beginning your application. The following sections will include demographic and mobility-related questions. The final sections of the application include safety acknowledgments, as well as a 12-minute e-bike safety basics training video and a 5-minute climate impact training video. We've added links to both of these videos in the video description below. Both must be watched, and you must certify that you have watched each video entirely prior to moving forward in the application. If you would like to view these in a different language, closed captions in multiple languages are available in the video settings. We strongly encourage you to watch the videos prior to beginning your application. Links to these videos are publicly available at any time in the Consumer Resource section found at our ebikeincentives.org website. After completing the education video requirements, this will bring you to the final section of the application. Here, you will enter your name in the signature box as acceptance of the terms of the program. And finally, click Submit. Once submitted, you should receive email confirmation that we have received your application. Make sure to add our email domain at ebikeincentives.org to your safe senders list so that time-sensitive emails do not end up in your junk or spam folder. Application processing times may be up to 60 days, and we will contact you via email regarding your application. Thanks.